Welcome to the Professional Book Nerds podcast presented by Libby. My name is Joe, and I am so glad you're here. Before we dive into this episode, just want to do the podcaster thing and ask you to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on the Libby app YouTube channel, where you can see this in beautiful video. If you want to see my face, my background, all that magic, do all of those things. I have to give you the calls to action. If you are watching on YouTube already, hi, you can see my face. You can see me waving. You can see Meghan waving. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think that's what I have to say there as well. Just a reminder, I know I will keep saying this until it happens, but we are reworking the podcast right now. So you're seeing 1 to 2 to 3 episodes per month outside of seasons. And then come June, we will kick off our first season. Very excited. I cannot wait for you to see the new logo, hear the new name, and see the format changes incoming. They are very exciting. It's also good, also pretty. Remember, if you want more info, there was an episode on December 19th about the upcoming changes. You can get more details there. With that out of the way, hello and welcome to my lovely guest, Meghan. You've heard Meghan before on the pod, and now if you're watching, you can see her.
I have a corporeal form.
We are not just voiceless
We are
spirits
not
in a
just,
void.
we're not AI creations years before the trend.
We were AI first.
Yes. That's what you do on the Professional Book Nerds, right? You're trendsetters,
You're trendsetters, exactly.
technological mavens.
Once you become a guest, you get a bunch of superlatives.
Yeah.
Well, Meghan, today you are joining me to do something different for us. This time around, we want to look at some of the big books coming out, books that everyone is excited for. And so every month, we've got a couple that we're highlighting. We've got some recommended lists that you might see. And now, as you look in your Libby app, that your library may have curated together for you with our team's help. But so this month, coming out is the new book, Scythe and Sparrow. It is book 3 in the Ruinous Love trilogy. As soon as I say the title of the first book, if you haven't heard of it, you will have heard of it. Butcher and Blackbird, and then Leather and Lark just came out. And Scythe and Sparrow, book 3 by Bryn Weaver will be coming February 11th. So not too much time to wait. Actually, when you're watching or listening to this, it's already out.
Well,
I know. We're in the past
future.
and the future at the same time. That's the other thing you get to do when you come on. You get to time travel. So what Meghan and I hope to do today is to give you some books to read while you wait. Whether you're waiting for the book on hold, whether you're waiting for it to release in your area, whatever it may be, just some read-alikes, some similar vibes to this series that you may enjoy.
Although, if for those of you that have not read Butcher and Blackbird or any of them, the vibes are very specific.
I've heard they're incredibly specific.
Yeah. It might not be everybody's cup of tea. And I'd like to say that at least for my Rex, and I had a sneak peek at your Rex too, Joe,
Yes.
I would say as well, there are a lot of things that if Butcher and Blackbird is not your flavor, if it's a little too much, there's probably going to be
We
something
got you
on
there.
it. Yeah, we got something that if you want like some of the vibes that aren't necessarily as much with murder and eyeballs and cannibalism and all of those fun things that come with Butcher and Blackbird. We have things that I don't want to say necessarily are milder, but just, different.
Right. I think that's a great thing. I'll read you all the description of Butcher and Blackbird so you can decide if you haven't dove into it yet. It is kind of a gory series. Like gore feels like both the right and wrong word. Like I said, it's the Ruinous Love trilogy. It's a viral TikTok friends to lovers dark romantic comedy full of murder, chaos, and sizzling chemistry unlike anything you've read before. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers, Sloane and Rowan, they find something elusive, the friendship of two like-minded, pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Roan and Sloane dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? There's a list of tropes, which I love seeing in romance descriptions now. I see it so much more often, and it's delightful. It's listed as golden retriever and black cat. He falls first, touch him/her and die. Friends to lovers, forced proximity, and of course, one bed. What romance novel would this be if it didn't have one bed?
Yeah.
It
Guess one
makes
would
me
have.
think that maybe the hotel industry doesn't know what it's doing
I
or
know.
has very specific motive. So that's Butcher and Blackbird. That's book one. As Meghan said, it's a very specific vibe. And it does not surprise me why book talk why TikTok picked it up, because I have yet to find my own portion of the book talk algorithm. I just seem to see like what blew up every once in a while on mine, and it's always this kind of like dark romance.
Dark romance is huge
Mhm.
and has been for years.
Right. And TikTok's just catching it now.
Well, and I
Or,
think
you know,
too, it's just that it hasn't been, I think publishing is catching it now in a way that,
that's
like, a lot of
accurate.
this stuff is there's like a lot of these that are big, they started as self pub, they were just, or fanfic, things like that. And now the bigger publishers are starting to notice that people like a little weird sometimes.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
That
this one, I came into it having read that description and being like, well, I like true crime, blah, blah, blah. I love romance. And
yeah.
just, yeah, right out the gate, eyeballs. Lots of stuff with eyeballs, like actual honest to God scooping out so if that is too much of a yuck,
Yeah.
just you don't have to read it. You don't have to read it.
And like Megan said, we have some similar, some just like here's a nice kinder version. Like we have a blend on our lists
Yeah.
today. I
None
think
of mine
the
have eyeballs. I mean,
yeah,
everyone has eyes.
well, yeah.
Yeah. But none of them, as far as I remember.
None of them are melon balling. But
No.
but so for those of you who found this episode because you're looking for things to read while you wait for Scythe and Sparrow, some of these they will all have the flavor of it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
for those of you who have heard of this series and maybe had that experience of the person who was like, I got 20 pages in and went, not for me. These will get you there with both of your eyes intact. Or will they?
Unless
Who
you're
knows?
murdering other people. That's the thing. These are all like they're serial killers with hearts of gold.
Right.
Of like Dexter, but not like Dexter.
Right. Now, I know I said I wanted to give y'all something that would be kind of ready on the wait list that you might not be sitting around waiting for, but I will say I was bad. And my first book is like the book that I've seen all over my dark romance TikTok space. And you might have a little bit of a wait on this one. You may have already read it, but I felt like it would be remiss if I did not bring up Lights Out by Nefessa Allen. The couple who slays together stays together, an Into Darkness novel right off the rip. This one came out this past August. New York Times bestselling series and instant USA Today bestseller. Again, a viral TikTok stalker dark romance, burning with high heat, hilarious banter, and a love story like you've never seen before. Can you handle the ride? I want someone with a soul as black as night, someone who would burn the world down for me and not lose a single minute of sleep over it. Trauma nurse Ali Capellucci doesn't need any more kinks. She likes the one she's landed on just fine. To her, nothing could top the masked men she follows online. Unless one of those men was shirtless, heavily tattooed, and waiting for her in her bedroom. She dreams about being hunted by one in particular, of him chasing her down, doing deliciously dark things to her willing body. She never could have guessed that by sending one drunken text, those dreams would become her new reality. I want things most people don't, craving darkness and depravity instead of light and love. Josh Hammond has spent his life avoiding the limelight, but his online persona is another story. At night, he posts masked thirst traps for his millions of fans to drool over, but one follower has caught his eye, Allie. After reading a comment begging him to break into her house wearing a mask, he decides to take her up on the offer. Together, Allie and Josh live out their darkest fantasies, unaware that Allie has captured the attention of someone else. Someone with far more sinister intentions than a little light stalking. As Josh turns from predator to protector and the stakes heighten, he must ask himself how far he's willing to go for the woman he's obsessed with. Lights Out is a fast paced, dark romance with a morally gray male lead. Some themes and scenes may be disturbing to readers. Please check the trigger warnings at the beginning of the book. And our tropes are stalker romance, morally gray male main character, masked stalker, he falls first, black cat and golden retriever, and kink friendly. So again, that is Lights Out by Navessa Allen. I mean,
It's a good time.
uh-huh. I mean, I'm like blushing and giggling while reading this. I'm like, well,
And I'm like, yeah, we're talking about this, I guess. Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
here we
it was,
are.
it definitely, I think of the like true like
Hmm.
parody between I think it's probably the closest in like just overall
Yes,
feelings and whatnot. That, yeah, you're at
absolutely.
the like, I mean, it's a little less murdery, I guess, but
Right. Like vaguely less murdery,
vaguely less murdery.
but the vibes are like match for match. And
Yeah.
book two is forthcoming, I believe.
Yes.
I don't remember when, but soon.
And I think the cover
It's
is
like
very similar,
May.
but a different color. I
Yeah,
wanna
the
make
next
sure.
one's like a peachy reddy color.
Yeah.
One of the men I follow on TikTok reads this book and like messages with her, and she sent him like a hoodie that has the logo on it and says like security detail or something like that. And so I'm just giggling because you know,
Yeah, I remember reading it not knowing much about it at
yeah,
all when I other than like, yeah, it was the same thing where it's like, "This has those vibes," and I'm like, I'll try anything," and just being like
mhm.
and yeah, just like, there is a lid for every pot,
There
really,
truly
just,
there
like
truly is
and just, like, you know what I'm not doing on the internet is, like, looking at videos of people
strange masked men on
with, like,
motorcycles.
knives and stuff, like, my anxiety levels are high enough as it is without being like, "Nah,
Oh my god,
my brain can do bad all by itself." But to
absolutely.
if I'm thinking about those things, it's in like, "And they're coming to get me." Not in a fun way either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, my brain is not taking it to Funland either. I, much like you, did the, "Oh, okay, everyone's reading this, I'll pick it up." I probably knew even less. I was just like, Whatever, I will not read a description before I start a book." And I went, "Oh, this is a very specific vibe we've gone down." What's your first pick for us?
All right. So mine is going to have the vibes of where we've bad guy. I think that's really what my vibes are, kind of. Just the morally gray to black male main character. Just a bad dude who maybe isn't so bad, but
Or
maybe is, but
is
just not
bad but good for her?
good for her.
Yeah.
And being a I mean, as I guess you all have a glimpse if you're watching on YouTube, to my office a little bit, but I am a proud garbage Disney adult. I'm drinking out of my, like, Disney mug right now. So I'm gonna be talking out the gate about, Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, who, if all of y'all have read any Katie Robert books before, you know they go there, and, aren't afraid to touch any kind of taboo subject. In fact, one of their first series was, I believe, like, The Taboo something, I don't remember.
It just right on the nose.
Right on the nose, like, right out the gate with, like, all sorts of stuff. But they have a series that is all like rewrites of Disney stories. And the first one is called Desperate Measures, and it is Jasmine and Jafar, not Aladdin.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a whole the second one, I believe is a Beauty and the Beast. Like they're all these retellings of these 80s, 90s kind of
Key nostalgia.
yeah, I think the second one actually is Hades and Meg. And
That
it's
makes
kind of
sense.
they're all kind of interwoven in this similar universe. So they can all be read as standalones, but it is a greater story. And that's how all of Katie Roberts' series are. all kind of build up on each other. There is a progressing story, but you can all read them similarly. But to read the description of this one, we have my savior or my ruin. One night, my entire life went up in flames, all because of him, Jafar. As my world burned down around me, he offered me a choice: walk away with nothing but my freedom, or rise to his challenge and win my fortune back. I bargained. I lost. Now Jafar owns me, and even as my mind rails against his rules, my body loves the punishment he deals when I break them. But a gilded cage is still a prison, and I'd do anything to obtain my freedom, even betray the man I'm falling for. So, for the content warning of this one, it does have some pretty ambiguous consent at moments like that at times. But if you're okay with some of that, the book is also incredibly steamy and
Oh,
kind of confusing, but not in a know what's going on kind of way, but just I don't know how I'm supposed to be feeling about this kind of way. So I just anything pretty much I could probably just do Katie Robert as a read alike and just walk away, talk about all of their books and move on with my just be like, have a nice time, Joe. I've submitted 30 read alikes. Thank you. Goodbye.
yeah. You absolutely could have just typed in Katie Robert, did a mic drop emoji and walked
I
away, and I would have said, "Well, she's not wrong." I didn't know they did a Disney I, of course, know of Neon Gods and, like, the whole series off of that, and so when I saw Katie Robert and did not see Neon Gods before it, I was like, "What am I in for?" But okay.
You're in for Dirty Disney.
Spice. Dirty Disney. The part of my where my brain goes is immediately like, what's the legality here? How much did they have to walk around to be able to use these names? Or do certain things have to be changed anyway? We
Not our
all go to
circus, not our
different
monkeys.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
We
anyway.
didn't publish it, but highly recommend. Lovely, not lovely. Fun, but not lovely.
Yeah.
A good
And
time. A good time.
they stay high on the pepper scale, right? Like
Oh,
all
yes.
Katie Roberts are like 5.
Yeah, and because 'cause we're gonna be getting into, like, this is male, female, but that
Mhm.
is not the case for the rest of the series, and a lot of time with things go on to, you have, like, thruples, all sort it's not
Mhm.
a yeah, the pepper scale is high, and the vibes are whatever you're comfortable with, we're gonna do.
The
So,
vibes are ever changing.
yes, the vibes are ever changing. It's a big tent. Come inside. Like, you're in for a good time.
You're gonna have I mean, hey, you clicked on this episode. Let's center for a moment. You clicked on this episode. These are read alikes for a very specific energy, and while we may both be like, this is recording right now. I love this for y'all. I love this for I love this for our TBRs. Like, anyway, mom, if you're watching, don't read these books.
I'm not telling my mom about this episode.
Yeah, no, I'm not telling my mom either. But my mom's best friend, who I know is listening to this episode, hi Gina. I hope you enjoy all of these because you deserve it. Yeah. She'll have a grand old time. I sent her home with books from my house because there's only so much space on the shelves, and she went, "This one you sent me. Good thing you didn't give it to your mother." And I went, "Oh no." Don't even remember what it was, but my next pick is The Hollow and the Haunted. This is by Camilla Rains. It is a darkly magical fantasy debut set in Washington state. A closeted teenage psychic foresees the death of his sworn enemy and is forced to work with him to save his life. Sparks fly, but some ghosts don't want to stay buried. This is where I get a little bit more in my comfort zone. And so it is similar. We've got that kind of like enemies to lovers vibe. We've got, more of that. I don't know. I kind of see in my brain the space of dark romance also can live in the space of like paranormal or supernatural, or you've got a little bit of flavor for everyone. But this is perfect for fans of atmospheric queer fantasy romance, including things like The Raven Cycle, Cemetery Boys, and 16 Souls. Miles Warren hails from a long line of psychics, resigned to a life in the family business. Miles is perfectly happy, thank you very much. Apart from the fact that he hasn't told anyone he's gay and that he's constantly exhausted from long nights spent wrangling angry ghosts in creepy cemeteries. Perfectly happy. But Miles's comfortable routine is interrupted when he starts having visions of an unfamiliar boy. He soon learns the stranger is Gabriel Hawthorne, whose family have a mysterious, decades-long feud with Miles' own, and that the visions are a premonition of his murder. Gabriel is everything Miles expects from a Hawthorne: rude, haughty, irritatingly good looking. But that doesn't mean Miles is just going to stand by and let someone kill him. The two form an uneasy alliance, trying to solve Gabriel's murder before it happens. As they begin to unravel the web of secrets between their families and with dark magic swirling around them, Miles is horrified to realize that he doesn't hate Gabriel quite as much as he's supposed to. He might even like him. Too bad Gabriel is probably going to die. What a fun final line to leave it on.
Yeah, so
But
that
that,
really, that always really puts a damper in a relation.
yeah, death is usually pretty hard on
Yeah.
relationships. But
Does
that is
Nicholas
the
Sparks
hollow
read
in the
alike?
haunt. Sorry?
Is this a Nicholas Sparks read
Yep.
alike all of a sudden?
Right. All of a sudden, any Nicholas Sparks book fits.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's light. I need a palate cleanser after going from something like Lights Out. So, pick up The Hollow and the Haunted by Camilla Rains.
Well, I'm gonna keep us in the fantasy area.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking about The Awakening, which is the first book in the Zodiac Academy series by Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valenti. So these are, just kind of, you got your phase, you got your entire like supernatural world, and every single person in this book is a jerk. So so if
Oh,
you're going
no.
for like, well, not like for the dark romance
Mm,
thing. It really, so the bully romance trend of that, like just
yeah.
that I'm 5 books deep into this series, that has at least 8. And because every single one ends pretty much like on a cliffhanger. As
You
if
are
like, wait,
committed.
that's the end of the book? Like, huh? Stuff isn't wrapped up with a pretty bow. It's just a
Hmm.
thing where you expect like, and now I turn the page. No, I don't turn the page. There are no more pages. So they are, you can't not read them all in like just
Right.
that, because you need to know what happened.
How do you feel about that?
It's hard on your TBR when you're thinking like, "All right, I'm gonna pick up this book, and I have these other things sitting on my hold shelf," right? Like, "Okay, I'll read
Right.
this, and then I'll get to this," and then you're like, "Oh, no, I read this, and then I'm reading all of these
8
books
more.
for
Yeah.
the rest of my life." And they're
That's fair.
also currently releasing all of these as graphic audio as well.
Oh.
So and I love graphic audio.
Mhm.
Just obsessed. Make a sad heart that I can't really do with my broken arm. Yeah, for those of you listening, I broke my arm roller
And
skating.
you can see the purple cast from her roller skating
Yeah.
break on
Yeah, this is
on
my
screen.
little try the YouTube, see my office, see my broken arm, but not yeah, in a cast, not anything gruesome, which
Yeah.
I feel like given Scythe and Sparrow, it could be just like watch yeah, I did not intend on getting this invested with this
Yeah.
series, but they're good, and I wanna know what happens, and, like, I have no idea who I'm 5 books in, and I'm not exactly sure who I should be rooting for romance-wise because every potential they're all awful. They're they're all they have, like, it's just morally gray, whatever, just, like, they're giving with one hand and taking away with another just constantly. And as a true millennial, the zodiac vibes, the like throughout, just give me life. Minus the fact that there has been no cancer representation yet. So as a cancer, it bums me out. But also as a cancer, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to be in my feelings and kind of sad. But like, I'm not going to, you know, go on Instagram and try to contact the authors or anything
I mean,
because
you could,
I could,
but
but no, that's not how we roll. We're just sad by ourselves. I'm just gonna keep quietly reading the books and hoping that eventually,
one day.
one day, someone, like, as far as I know, have noted, like, literally none of the main characters are even cancers, period. Like, they're just
There'll be a beach episode. There'll be a beach edition, and it'll be a
yeah.
man who gets burned, so he looks like a crab, and
Yeah, they're the poor forgotten sign. We're the,
Mhm.
sad ones. But it is a fun story for, people that like the dark vibes, that maybe liked kind of, it's a school of magic, but certainly all grown up. Also, the spice level increases on these books as well. So out the gate, the first book, you're not going to get much, but it ramps as the books go on, which again, just feel like one incredibly long book as far as I'm standing right now. But let me read you the description. I'm a Gemini, impulsive, curious, headstrong, a twin, heir to a throne I know nothing about, and it turns out I'm Fae. But of course, there's a catch. All I have to do to claim my birthright is prove that I'm the most powerful supernatural in the whole of Solaria. And sure, technically that's true, as I'm the daughter of the Savage King. But the bit they didn't put in the brochure was that every single Fae in this kingdom would claim my throne if they could. The school they've sent me to is both dangerous as stuff and one hell of a party. Vampires bite weaker students in the corridors, the wolf pack has orgies in the Wailing Wood at every full moon, and don't get me started on the dark and twisted ways the sirens use their powers on people's emotions. Or how my sinfully tempting cardinal magic teacher hosts detentions that leave people needing therapy. Classes are totally interesting if you manage to live through them. And that Gemini star sign I mentioned, it now determines my elemental magic and affects my destiny. So learning astrology is essential if I'm going to beat down my classmates, which is actively encouraged, by the way. My biggest problem is a drool-worthy dragon shifter who has his eye on my throne. He and his 3 psycho friends are determined to make my time here hell. All I've got to do is survive, but fate might have other ideas. Darn it, why couldn't I have gotten a letter to Hogwarts? And this is actually told from the POV, multiple POVs. So we have the 2 twins, Darcy and Tori, and we have their POVs that go throughout. And then as the books go on, you get POVs of a bunch of other characters as well. So I imagine, again, the graphic audio, which I have not listened to yet, I'm sure does just really cool things with all these different characters. So,
That sounds so fun, and, like, a nice way to have a whole series to cozy into, like,
except it's not
I
cozy
know
at
it's
all.
not cozy, but, like, to have something to look forward to. Oh, I will keep the fantasy going because, my next pick, I know this is kind of another TikTok darling book, but this is The Deer and the Dragon by Piper CJ. I feel like Piper CJ's been all over TikTok over the last few years. This is listed as Has Been Hotel meets Crescent City in a new fantasy romance series from USA Today bestselling author Piper CJ. How does a human girl lose the Prince of Hell? Marlowe needs to believe she's crazy. The alternative would mean embracing the gift or curse shared by her mother and grandmother. She can see angels and demons, including a dark and haunting entity who's been with Marlowe her entire life. At least, she believes that's all he is until a fae from the Nordic pantheon strolls into her life and informs her that she's been sharing a bed with the Prince of Hell, a prince who's now gone missing. Before she knows it, Marlowe is deeply entangled in a centuries old war, stumbling straight into a battleground between the mighty beings of myth and legend from powerful pantheons around the world. And who will come out on top may just depend on her and the love she never dared to believe in. It's for romantasy lovers, people who love mythology and folklore. If you are fans of kick butt heroines, fae, angels, and demons, if you like some hilarious banter, if you're into Has Been Hotel. Not too bad. This one came out at May of last year, so still pretty recent, but should have chilled out and be ready to be borrowed right about now. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. No, that
I
sounds
mean, it's a good time. I think if you like that kind of what's happening to me, I don't understand. And you know, I think there's a lot of Fae in literature as of late. Uh, that I would have been fine with just like an angel demon mysterious pantheon all across the world, but get all the tags in you can, diva.
yeah, do what you gotta do.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to start straying us back into the real world a little bit,
Please,
just a little bit,
just a
because
touch.
vampires.
That's the real world.
Yeah, real world is vampires, right?
They're just all in Washington and
Yeah.
Alaska.
Mhm. Anyway, so last time I was on, I talked about vampires, as a just unrepentant, forgiving, unending vampire kid. But this one, actually, I found this book at my local library, just like sitting on a shelf, because I go there with my kiddo every single week. And it was just sitting on the new books. And I read the back and I was like, this sounds ridiculous. I must read it. And so this is a retelling of The Great Gatsby with vampires, obviously. It's the Roaring Twenties.
I'm in.
It's called Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kenny, and it's actually going to be a series. The second book is, from what I can tell, it is the picture of Dorian Gray. So I don't know. It's been long enough since I read this book. It came out last summer. I probably read it sometime last summer, early fall. So it's been long enough that I cannot remember if the characters that I read from the description of the second book are ones that I are part of the world, if I remember, or if these are brand spanking new people. But we're not here to talk about the book that I haven't read yet, that hasn't come out. We're going to talk about Beautiful Villain, which again is a retelling of Great Gatsby with vampires, obviously. And it's spicy. Not like it sold a lot more spicy than I felt the spice level was. That being said, I might have a higher spice tolerance than some other people.
You do
Starting.
read a lot of romance.
Yeah, I read a lot of romance, but I diversify my offerings.
That's
Certain
true.
things with closed doors, open doors, no doors. Uh, so, but here's the description of the book. An addictive and dangerously spicy new adult retelling of The Great Gatsby with a vampiric twist. Daisy is a recent college grad looking to get her feet back under her after a nasty breakup with her uber controlling ex. When her cousin Nick convinces her to come to a lavish party being thrown by some mysterious new money show off, she never expects to find the boy she loved and lost years ago, or to discover that Gatsby made his millions by selling immortality to the highest bidder. Daisy Finnegan is looking forward to the endless golden freedom of summer. No more college, no more pressure, no more worries. But when her cousin goes missing at an exclusive house party, Daisy is all too ready to confront the mysterious host, only to discover the wealthy recluse is Jay Gatsby, her childhood sweetheart, and now sinfully hot and impossible to deny. She could never resist him, and it isn't long before she's entangled in a web of wealth and lies and obsession, culminating in a shocking act of violence that shatters the summer haze and threatens to drown them all. But it isn't until Gatsby is shot through the heart and survives that Daisy discovers the truth of how he clawed his way up in the world by selling the secret of immortality to the highest bidder. Now, with her friends' lives at stake, her own dizzying new powers still volatile, and an unimaginable threat closing in, Daisy will have to face an impossible choice. Side with the man who claimed her body and soul, or with the monsters who would see him lost to her forever. So again, we've got kind of these dark vibes to it. He definitely is his own kind of monster, and just like the original Gatsby, also is just very, very obsessed with the idea of wealth and power, and in this case, also immortality. And of course, these are all like I'm as previously mentioned, and elder millennial, whatever. And I just have these moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, these 20 somethings are so cute. Um,
Uh-huh. I get that.
yeah, just like, yeah, you guys are all like, yeah, Gatsby's what, maybe like 25 in this book. So you do have to put some of that stuff on a shelf. Again, it's been a few months since I read this. I don't remember his exact age. But like you're like, there's very little way that this is possible, but who knows? Whatever. Also, he's a vampire. So obviously none of this is possible. But it is a fun time. I remember when I found this at the library, I took a picture of it, texted it to all my friends, got them all to read it. Like I have been like just talking this book up, down, left, right, sideways, just for what a fun time it is. And yeah, there is blood, there is bad people, there's all of that stuff. So you're going to get some of those vibes that you get from Scythe and Sparrow as well, when you're just are they making the right choices above and beyond them being just little babies?
I'm so in. I'm gonna have to read this because I love like a cheesy retell. Why is Gatsby a vampire? Because why not?
Why not?
Like I need to read this. It's just so funny. Like
Yeah.
But I'm also with you. I think the thing I struggle most with some of the titles today is, like you said, oh God, you're just a little baby. Like
Yeah.
I may only be, somewhere in the early part of the 30s, but making a 25-year-old seem like this ancient immortal is like so unrelatable sometimes. So sometimes the age in these, I'm just like, okay.
It's easier for me to digest him being like a 25-year-old vampire with a like 21, 22-year-old as opposed to like a 400-year-old vampire or
Yeah,
fae or whatever with a 21 or 22-year-old.
same.
Yeah, where you're like, well, at least they knew each other before, right?
Well, at least this was a recent change and not,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
no,
not thing like, "You
totally.
complete me. I've been waiting hundreds of years for you, tiny little baby."
Ugh. Yeah,
And then
that
but it's
not unhealthy ever.
no, but it's a fun read. So just, if you want to, just have a good time and just not don't think too hard about it. Just have a good time. There's
Well,
much shame in that.
I will absolutely follow that like fun, good time with my last pick, which is a recent release. So sorry, this one did just come out a few weeks ago in January. My last pick is My Funny Demon Valentine by Aurora Asher. How can you not with a title like that? It is humor first, but it is listed as having the sizzling chemistry of Bryn Weaver, who we are talking about today, and laugh out loud humor of Kimberly Lemming. Meet Jenna Levine and Jean O'Reilly's fresh spin on paranormal tropes in this wickedly funny, warm-hearted demon romance with just the right amount of spice from the best-selling author of Sanctuary of the Shadow. Asmodeus, Prince of Hell, just wants to make music, jazz specifically. Unfortunately, he's a demon and he's supposed to be evil. Clearly, for Ash, a career as a musician isn't exactly an option. Plus, he's cursed. Sick of playing by the rules, Ash and his three brothers escape hell in search of freedom on Earth. But it's harder than they thought to keep their enemies off their tails. Yet everything changes for Ash when he meets a beautiful violinist who can see through his curse. No matter the risk, he has to have her. Evangeline Gregory is just your average human. She works at a jazz bar, plays gigs on weekends, and apparently hallucinates demons. At least that's what Eva tells herself when, moments after she meets the man of her dreams, she sees him shift into a 7 foot tall monster. Not believing her own eyes, Eva decides to investigate and soon finds herself in the middle of a supernatural clusterfuck. But Ash isn't the only one keeping secrets, and the search for answers reveals a shocking truth that will change Eva's life forever. Or maybe just doom it. The path to love can be a complete hell.
Ugh,
I
that sounds
know.
that sounds really fun.
Right?
Think I need to put that one on.
My Funny Demon Valentine, Aurora Asher. It is really funny. It's cute. It's got the spice. I love the concept of I don't want to be evil. I just want to play jazz. Oh, like
Don't we all?
I mean, we've all
All
been
just wanna play
there.
jazz, yeah.
I don't want to be the demon king of hell. I just want to play my music.
Yeah. It's it's hard when you have the family business, when you're just you don't have a choice. You
You
just wanna make
can't, right.
yeah.
Just
Ugh.
want to live out my dreams. So if you, like me, very often need palate cleansers, I think this hits it. It keeps you on your theme and on your trend, but also makes you go like, okay, this one's not so dark and heavy. Maybe I'm just not made for a lot of dark romance. I love it a here and there, but it could not be my regular source of romance.
I'm with you on that, and I'm reading a little more lately than I used to, but
Yeah.
overall, all of the books that I've talked about thus far and my upcoming picks and all that, there it's not like I'm sitting other than the Awakening, the Zodiac Academy books. I'm not sitting down and like just running through 'em.
Right, one after another.
No, I need a break, or my poor little brain will just also break.
You have to pick up your happy romance
Yeah,
after.
yeah. You need like we need all those golden retrievers. You need two golden retrievers, not just one golden retriever.
Yeah, no black cats after this one. Just
No,
double goldens.
just double goldens. Just a whole big pack of big old fluff monsters. And speaking of fluff monsters, the male main character in my next pick is not a fluff monster in the slightest. So that was
Okay.
actually a really bad transition.
Hey, but it worked. We got there.
We got there. Like, and no, I got nothing. Can't. But
And I tried.
I want to talk about Truly, Madly, Deeply by LJ Shen. And our male main character is actually kind of a jerk. But he's a chef, which is, Butcher and Blackbird, the
Yeah.
farm, and it's a family, it's a restaurant. So again, we've got those kind of similar themes there of if you want a guy who knows his way around a kitchen, but also is just a huge jerk in the process to everyone but one person and his family. And I've not seen Chef, so I don't know if that gives similar vibes. But from all of the portrayals in other media, it seems like just across the board, guys that work in kitchens are not necessarily the sweetest of all men. But yes, so this one we've got, I will read the description of Truly, Madly, Deeply, which came out last year and also is the start of a series. This old flame might set them on fire. Conceited, unattainable, and downright delicious, renowned Michelin-starred chef Ambrose Casablancas has one passion in life: food. Women are a distraction, and he doesn't do those, especially Cal Litvin, his baby sister's best friend. Her entire existence is a complication. She's awkward, eccentric, infuriating, and much to his chagrin, hotter than his kitchen. Ambrose has a lot on his plate: a new restaurant to open, a multi-million-dollar property deal to execute, and a violent stalker to tame. Then Cal shows up at his doorstep, looking for both a job and salvation after their messy goodbye. His resolve, like his patience, is ebbing each day she works at his restaurant. Because Cal is no longer a doe-eyed girl. Now she's a woman he'll do anything to conquer. Quirky, compassionate ball of sunshine, Calla Litvin can't catch a break, and not just because she's sworn off running. Back in her hometown to nurse her mother's broken heart after losing her father, she finds herself jobless, hopeless, and penniless. She hopes to rekindle her friendship with her former BFF, but Dylan is attached at the hip to her cruel brother, the one Cal's secretly been crushing on since middle school. Falling for the bad boy the second time around would be a mistake of gargantuan proportions. Too bad she's always been clumsy. Which again, having a broken arm right now, hearing all this clumsy stuff, I'm like, man, if I lived in a romance novel, when I ate at roller skating, things would have gone a lot differently than me, like, essentially crawling off to my husband, who was like, what happened? And going to the emergency room.
It would have been just the beginning
Yeah,
of
but
your
just the beginning
story.
of something, and not him being like, we're taking you to the emergency room again? Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Okay, great. They know you.
You've got your fast pass for the ER.
I wish. But so this one is, again, she's got a lot of baggage. He has a lot of baggage. She actually has, and I cannot remember, she has a clinical fear of men, which is interesting, except for him. So it's something she's working on with therapists and everything like that. So it is one that, even though there's no content warnings listed on the description, it is one that has some past trauma that they're both working with. They both have had bad experiences with men in their pasts. But so it does have some of the heaviness that you have in the Butcher and Blackbird-esque books as well. And you have just a real grump of a guy who actually is a big old marshmallow on the inside. This book is very steamy for what it is. And it is one that my only warning is, if you're listening to the audiobook, it's a little confusing because Cal also goes by Dot, which I was like, they explained it was just a childhood nickname, but I'm like, man, if I'm reading a book, you have to have a nickname it's got to be really close.
It's got to be the same thing.
It's got to be the same name. It's got to be like Callie. Or like,
Yep.
C or something.
Yes.
Or just like, who's Dot? What are we talking about? And this is probably just my problem.
I appreciate that was your warning in this whole book, though, that like, hey, it gets confusing, because that's what I'd be stuck on too.
And the other thing, there is a brief mention of cannibalism, which again harkens us back to the books that
The Butcher and Blackbird.
Butcher and Blackbird. but it's more of a,
Okay.
like, I once heard blah, blah, blah. So neither it's not a direct thing that any of the characters, but when I was, like think it was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that." They talked about Jeffrey Dahmer and this other thing. So there we go. We've got those connections just everywhere. I've got my little, board with the little strings on it, and I can do the conspiracies, like, and
Your
this
true crime board is
yeah.
mapped out
Yeah,
perfectly.
like, how do we bring these books together? I did it, cannibalism.
That's the thing I love about a lot of these books is you never know what the strange through line will be between different series. I also love how so many of these descriptions are written. They have some of the wildest choices. And to your point of names, I feel like sometimes names are also hilarious in like this realm of romance. I don't know that sometimes I feel like I'm reading fantasy names, not in the like complexity, but in the way that they are alliterations or that they have some sort of like too on the nose convention in there once you learn more about them. I don't know.
I just finished a romance book that I actually didn't like that much, so I'm not gonna drop it right now
Yep.
by name. But I did appreciate that it felt real in that there were, like, literally 3 or 4 characters that all had the same very common male name,
Yeah.
but they gave them all nicknames and acknowledged the fact that, like, everybody was named John or whatever, and that was not the name. Again, I'm not gonna I guess I've thrown enough hints that maybe you can figure it out if you really care to. And it's not like it was a thing too where, like, in the group outside of the group, there were, like, it was like Big John, Little John, Blonde John, they all had little,
Mhm.
but it was just I'm like, because yeah, in the real world, like, yeah,
It's how it goes.
your name is Joe, my daughter's name is Joe.
Yep.
Like, it's just I mean, it's Josephine, and your name is probably Joseph, I don't know.
Mhm.
But, like,
It is.
yeah, yeah, okay. But it's a thing where it's like, oh, yeah, in the real world, you have a lot of people, with the same names, and it is
Right.
confusing in books. So, but I did appreciate that, like, yeah, we've got 4,000 people named quote unquote John, and they all.
Right.
But other than that, I didn't like the book. So
Well, at least one thing was good in it because that is fascinating. I feel like that's the other thing. Like, well, you and I both kind of. I mean, I know I've probably got a little worse with a Joe, but you and I both have the name that like it's not uncommon to run into. The only thing you're going to struggle with is how is everyone spelling it.
yeah. But my freshman year of college, there were 4 Megans on my floor alone.
Right, because of our ages, like your name was the name of the peers.
Yeah. And now when it comes to spelling, I've just accepted no one will ever put the H in there.
Yes.
And then I will say, like the princess, when I'm telling people how to spell, and they still have no idea what I'm talking about.
And
But
they'll say, "Yeah, this is how I spell her name too. I don't
yeah,
spell that right either."
like, oh, well, fine then. I guess,
Wow.
whatever.
Well, if it's good enough for Markle, it's good enough for you, right?
Yeah. So it is just, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, certainly not. We don't have fun, like, romance novel names.
No, we definitely don't. I'm a Joseph, you're a Megan. We've got the names we were dealt.
Yeah. And it's fine.
But that is how it works. I mean, like, I have nicknames depending on the circle. My best friend, who is only a few weeks younger than me, is also Joseph. All of our initials are the same. Like, we just swapped middle names at one point when we were, like, doing other things, but, like, our first and last initials are the same, so our parents can never be like, "Oh, Joe S., come here," because we both would have chosen to
Yeah.
not listen. Who are you talking to? So so, I mean, it really just depends. Um,
So
yeah.
thank you on the podcast where we talk about names and how there's not that many of them.
There are not that many of them. Like, I'll bring up my pet peeve here, though. I know I have a common name, but my pet peeve is it's in my email signature. How am I a different common white man name in half the time when I've only emailed you like twice? I've been John, I've been Jim, so it's all
I, I,
right,
I give bonus points to anyone that spells it correctly. So
right? Well, Megan, thank you for helping me dive into a world that I've got a vague knowledge of and guiding us to a place of if you want to read books while you're waiting for Scythe and Sparrow, if you want to find things that you tried it, but maybe you need something in a different vein, but a similar street. I think we got you there. If you just didn't know that there were Disney villain romance novels and now you're going to spend a good chunk of your time reading them, you're welcome there as well.
Gotta do something in the winter,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, what else are we going to do? I,
Yeah.
there's not enough PTO to fly to every beach. So,
Nope. We
or money. I mean,
yeah,
money's
stare out
probably
into the grayness of Cleveland winter.
right. You could let it be bleak, or you could, get cozy and get steamy.
Yep, yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And listeners, thank you for joining us today. We're so excited that you checked this out. Feel free to check the description for links to all of the titles we mentioned today directly in the Libby app. So you can borrow, make a tag, put them on a hold list. And for our library friends, you can shop these titles in Marketplace. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And as always, happy reading.
Bye.
Readers can sample and borrow the titles mentioned in today's episode in the Libby app. Our library friends can purchase those titles in Marketplace. Professional Book Nerds is proud to be an Evergreen Podcast signature program. To learn about other Evergreen podcasts, visit evergreenpodcasts.com. Our podcast is produced and recorded by me, Joe Skelly, and edited by Joe Skelly and Andrew Alonso. The podcast is presented by Overdrive. To learn more, visit professionalbooknerds.com. Happy reading!